every day that we go out fishing and we find ourselves, catching fish after fish. Many times it takes a variety of different techniques and, tactics to generate a few more strikes. And most of the time we get out there fishing, the fish aren't very hungry. So we have to rely on, different baits and different strategies and trying different things to get the fish to actually strike our baits out of anger as opposed to hunger. And there's a couple things in particular, in two ways, that I really like to use to generate strikes. And the first one is deflection. Deflection is a really unique tactic to use when the bass are in and around some type of cover, but they're not very active, and you have to physically get them to strike out and bite your bait. And there's no better way to expose that sense of deflection than with a square bill crankbait. Now, a square bill crankbait is just what it implies. It's a crankbait that dives fairly shallow, 3 to 5 foot deep. It has a square bill, and that square bill enables the bait to bounce and deflect off a cover. And that's one of the most important attributes of a square bill crankbait, is its ability to deflect off of the cover and generate strikes. And particularly logs and boat docks, stumps, things like that, you can throw your bait on past that object and get it to dive down, and it's going side to side, and when it comes in contact with that piece of cover, as soon as that lip hits it, it will make the bait shoot off of the cover. And a lot of times if there's a bass sitting right there, that's exactly when they're going to strike. A lot of guys are really afraid to throw a crankbait around cover and structure, logs and wood and things of that sort. And the square bill crankbait is the type of bait that you want to use when doing that, because it has the best deflection characteristics and will get hung up less than, say, a rounded bill crankbait that has a tendency to have a tighter wiggle and will actually get hung up in that type of cover. But the square bill has a great deflection quality. You want to make sure that you cast to the piece of structure at different angles and try different things. It may be the case where one particular tree works better than another. Try different things and try to hit that piece of cover from all different angles and use a square bill crankbait to get that job done. That is pretty much what I call a horizontal way of generating strikes. Now, there's also a vertical way of generating strikes, and that's one of the best things that you can use to do that is a rubber skirted jig. And I'm not talking about a 1/4 ounce or a 3/8 ounce jig. I'm talking about a big 3/4 to 1 ounce or maybe even 1 1/4 ounce jig. A big heavy jig that's going to fall real fast, matched up with a big piece of plastic. It's going to be a fairly large bait that weighs quite a bit. And when you get cover and structure that's vertical, a lot of times those fish will suspend in and around that cover, and the way to generate strikes that way is by speed. And that big 3/4 to 1 ounce jig pitched next to this cover falls really fast and gets the fish to react on it and will strike out at your bait before they ever really know what it is. They're biting on reflex. So another simple way to generate some strikes is with a gigantic, big, heavy jig, 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce jig. And I'm, target fishing with this particular bait. I'm not going to work it all the way back to the boat. I'm going to go ahead and pitch it or flip it right in next to the cover, let it fall, maybe hop it a couple times, wind it up, and go to the next piece of cover. And that's the most effective way to fish this type of big jig, is to target fish with it, fish specific pieces of cover, and then move on. And if you can find a stretch that has lots of cover on some steeper banks. The crankbait I like on flatter banks, the jig I like on steeper banks. So a couple different ways you can generate some strikes the next time they're not biting very well out there in the water. Try them. You'll be happy with the results. I'm Mike DelVisco. I'll see you on the water. And for more bass fishing info, log on to FINS'nTALES.com or like them on Facebook. Fins and Tales, your hotspot for bass fishing stories, videos, people, places, events, how-tos, product reviews, and so much more.